January 13th. First order on the agenda is a salute to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, that's our ordinance. Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of the last meeting as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And the next one is old business. We have no old business, which leads us to new business. And the first item on our agenda is the final public hearing for the road posting ordinance for weight. It is the same ordinance that we discussed at a previous meeting. There have been no changes made, and it has been posted around town. So we'll open up the floor during this section for public comment, and then, as it is a regular meeting, we will close to public comment until the end when we have any other business. So are there any comments from the
Yeah, I'll make a motion we go into a public hearing.
Oh, that would be good of you. Thanks.
I'll make a motion we go into a public hearing.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Excellent, thank you, Ted. So at this point, we'll open it up to the floor for any comments regarding an ordinance restricting vehicle weight on posted ways for the town of Acton. Hearing no comments.
Oh, yeah, can you give us a thumbnail of what it is again?
Yes, sir. This is an ordinance, it is an executive ordinance, which means it can only be adopted by the executive board in a town. In this case, it's the select board. It allows the town to post roads year-round for weight, as opposed to simply seasonally, should they feel that it is necessary. And what we have right now is a road commissioner that would like to have the ability to post a road connecting 109 to Milton Mills, and wanting to not have that road have the same level of heavy truck traffic it has been suffering under. He has cleared this with all of the major truckers that use this road, and there is no concern on their part, so this is how we can legally do that. And just looking forward, wanting to have another tool in our toolbox, if you will, to help maintain the monies spent on public roads. So it allows, if somebody lives on a road and is having site work done, they certainly can have traffic coming onto their road to service them. There is a section of the ordinance that references it is through trucks that we are able to post to prohibit, not for trucks that are coming to a location on the road itself. There is also a place for waivers. So if you, for instance, live on Acton Ridge Road, and at some point, and it's not being suggested, but at some point, let's say H Road were to be posted, therefore it would be a throughway to get to Acton Ridge Road, a contractor can simply come into the town hall and apply for a waiver to be able to traverse that road to reach the site that they need to work on. So we have spoken to our road commissioners, we've spoken to, like I said, some of the larger contractors that would be affected by this ordinance, and we have not met with anyone that has concerns regarding it. So is that a good enough thumbnail, Chip?
Have we got a specific weight we're looking at?
It would be determined at the time with the advice of the road commissioner. The road commissioner currently is requesting 60,000 gross registered vehicle weight.
And this can be any road in town, any town road?
Any town-owned road could, in theory, be posted at the vote of this board. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Kelly, would you like to come to the podium, please?
Okay, do that to Chip, too.
Just a quick question. If you say someone wanted to post another road, what would you do? Have a public hearing before you?
The ordinance does not specify that that needs to happen, but I think out of courtesy,
Right.
that would
Yeah.
be expected.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other comments or questions from the floor?
I make a motion we adopt the ordinance restricting vehicle weight on posted roads for the town of Acton.
Second.
Any further discussion from the board? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, excellent. get last? You got put down last. I don't know. It's not even alphabetical.
Jen,
What did you say to her out
I don't know.
there? Okay, so,
Make a motion, we return to the regular selectmen's meeting?
Second.
okay, all in favor? Excellent. Moving forward, the town has received 3 resignations since our last meeting that we would like to take a moment to thank those employees for their time serving the town of Acton. The first one we received was from Irvin Pillsbury at the transfer station. Irvin tendered his resignation at the end of November and wanted to finish out working through the month of December. We, as a town, certainly everyone loved seeing Irving at the transfer station in the recycling building, and his presence will be missed, and he did a very wonderful job serving the town, and we thank him for the second one is that Anna Williams has resigned as secretary. She is currently serving as a secretary for the Warrant and Finance Committee. She has taken a job with the town of Wakefield, and she has in the past served as secretary to the Planning Board and the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee. She has been an all-around secretary for many boards, and we really appreciate the number of nights that she has come out, no matter the weather, and into late nights serving the town, and with amazingly thorough minutes, really a class act. And the final resignation we received was from Debbie Ricks, resigning from the Warrant and Finance Committee. Debbie served the town as chair on that committee last year and did a lot of due diligence in her position there, and we thank her for her time and accept her resignation with regret. I would hope. But we will need to. We have formal resignations from Debbie that need to be accepted by our board.
I make a motion, we accept the resignation from Debbie Ricks for the Warrant and Finance Committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, excellent. So, again, thank you to those 3 members of our community for serving us so well. Next item on the agenda is the Cartographic Associates contract. We sign every year with a company called Cartographics for doing our mapping, especially important for our assessing, looking at the tax maps when you come in. Those are printed off by Cartographics, and this is the contract for the mapping period from April 1st, 2010 through March 31st, 2011. The date is odd. We're looking into why that is. The April 1st part is clear because that is when the assessing is officially as of in the state of Maine. So, anyway, so that is the contract, and it is for that time period.
Make a motion, we sign the Cartographic Associates contract.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Mr. Hodgson, can you please hold your comments till the end?
I'd like to ask a question about this cartographic.
You can after we're done, when we get to the public forum.
There are 2 contracts, one for us, one for the company, and there are 2 places to sign, gentlemen, first and second page. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
Just one on this one? Or is it 2 here,
There's
too?
2 on that, too. Yeah, you missed. All righty. All business being completed, we'll open it up to the floor for any other business. Barbara Seeker.
Hello. This is basically for the public more than the selectmen. But when Marion and I don't have much to do, we can think of something to get involved in. And this time we decided that we don't like sitting on these chairs for long periods of time, so we're going to go on a campaign to raise money to buy new chairs. And Ted has a source for buying very nice chairs at a low price, but you have to buy them now. So I don't know when we'll raise enough money, but 100 chairs at $25 is $2,500. Therefore, I think Lorraine said we really ought to have 80, but I'm thinking maybe 100. What do you think?
They're going to be folded chairs. What I'm saying.
No, they're not going to be folded. They're going to be stackable chairs, soft seats and backs. And I'm also thinking that maybe we could have some engraved, if you want to do one in memory of somebody, or put your business name on the back of it. We could make little, little signs. So Marion said that your brain can only absorb what your rear end can stand. And mine, it looks like it should stand a lot. Therefore, that's what I'm going to propose, and if anyone has any questions, I'll try to address them.
How many is 80,000?
80 times 25? How much is that?
$1,000.
Yeah, right.
Well, if you're buying less than 100, maybe per chair it costs more.
No, the place that I went to with my husband had very nice ones, if we could have bought them at the time. They're restaurant chairs, and they're, nice padded bottom and an oval padded top, and they had enough, and they were all in excellent condition. These are from, these types of things are from restaurants or places, large places that have gone out of business, and they sell their equipment, office furniture. Chip would like some tables. He said he thinks there are a few tables that aren't in very good condition here. So that'll be on the list, too.
Barbara, how are you planning on doing the fundraising for this? Will there be suppers? Will there be, what will you
Not
be
for the
doing?
time being. I'm hoping enough people will come forward and say, I want to do it. And it's on the TV.
It is on the TV. That's true.
I don't have a source to buy the chairs. I suggested that we watch auctions, and
Right.
and I told you there's an auction Saturday that has a lot of restaurant chairs, and
I somehow
auctions that I
remembered
don't-
you saying we could go to Augusta.
Oh, yeah, actually,
Okay.
that's the state, that's, yeah, you can get chairs there for $5, but they're office chairs, like desk chairs and things like that, but they have a surplus of, from the federal and the state government. and
Right.
We're eligible to buy from there, it being a municipality, and they're $5 a chair. But
Are they nice padded seats?
well, it's whatever the state had in their
Oh,
offices.
all right. And you wouldn't
You're
get
not,
100
you're
at a
not,
time.
you're not gonna get 100
Right,
chairs that
right.
look the same, and they're not gonna be stackable to put into a town hall. no.
Well, I think if we're going to do this, we want it to look nice.
Where would they stack, Barbara? That would be another a question I would
Well, I'm
have.
thinking right off the bat, they could go in the voting booths. You don't use those all the time.
No, that's true. They're a special event sort of
But we
place.
might want, maybe some kind of a rolling rack. If we have something, we could stack them on and move them around. I'm afraid if we get 100 chairs here, you can only stack so many high, and then you have to start a new stack.
Right.
Moving them around,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's there's 9 holes right there. I think you can buy those little cork tips that you put on the bottom. They glue on the bottom.
they'll just rub right off.
They do.
How many people is this room allowed to hold? What is our capacity? Does anyone know? Because 100 seems like an awful lot of bodies.
I don't know off the top of my head, there's a calculation I can figure out.
I was going to say, the fire department sets up the figure, because when we had the church addition built on, we had to go through that. and
Yeah.
have them figure out how many, what was the capacity.
When I first came to town, and they had very, very busy town meetings, or selectmen's meetings, this place was packed. And I'm guessing there were a good 75 people here. Do you remember?
There were more than that many times.
Right. So,
They used to
but there's
stand up.
eight holes right there, and if you put 10 in a hole, that's 80.
Well, Ed, if you wouldn't mind in the next couple of weeks finding out what actually is our legal capacity, because if the legal capacity is 80, we certainly
That's all we
don't need
want.
100 chairs.
Right.
Did the
Right.
insurance company give you service recently on that as well?
They may have.
No, actually, that was the church that I was talking to Bill about, never mind. That was- I mean, something came through just recently on it.
And as far as the tables, yes, we do have a number of tables that are in serious disrepair.
Right. So at the same time, we could probably do that. So,
The
That's
tables
it.
we could also try to repair outright, like see if there's a way to repair them.
the one other thing that I mentioned to Larissa, I wondered if the town had a seal, a town seal. Because when I watch the Sanford Selectmen's meetings, they have a seal on the front of their table. And I thought, yay, we ought to put feelers out and get people, have a contest. Somebody make a seal and decide what to call it. Everybody can participate. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Mr. Long.
Dennis Long. I've got a few points of interest tonight. One would be, I would ask the selectmen if maybe the different meetings, like warrant finance meetings and other things that are going on, could be put on the slide on the TV, so that people that have the television can see when the meetings and stuff
You
are.
talking about the schedule?
The schedules,
That's a
yeah.
good idea.
I know most of them are on the website, but for
Not
those of
everybody goes on them.
those of like me that don't do that and watch TV, it'd make life a lot simpler, I guess, knowing what things are going on.
Okay.
The other thing is, a couple of weeks ago, I came in during a workshop to talk to the three of you. And the only one that was here was Bill, so we had a pretty good conversation. And the subject was, and I don't know if he passed this on or not, was about the portion of Buzzell Road that the three selectmen had voted that the town owns, not being maintained along with the rest of the roads in town, as far as being plowed and sanded.
Which section and which selectmen?
Which selectmen?
You said the section of Buzzell Road that the three selectmen voted to accept.
No, you three selectmen said that the town only owned to a certain distance on
Right.
Buzzell Road. And that's what I'm talking about, that certain distance.
Okay.
Not being maintained, as far as snow removal and being sanded. And apparently, Bill had got somewhere, because it was plowed this time. The last storm, it wasn't plowed at all, the whole storm. And it was plowed this time, but it was never sanded.
We're working at trying to find, we actually were working on that this evening, who owns the property that the road commissioner in that district would be allowed to turn around in, and getting some sort of easement granted to allow him to turn around. That is, during the first snowstorm, he did not have that permission. We asked him to go in and either back out or somehow find a way to navigate to be able to get in and plow that section.
Well, we have many town roads that we don't have permission to turn around on private property. The fact is, when the town turns around, there's very few town roads that the town owns the property where they turn around, or they don't have an easement to turn around there either. And in the past, they have turned around at that first place on the right, and that's what they did this time.
Is that where the trailer is?
Yes.
Is that up for sale right now?
Somebody told me it was up for sale, yeah. But the gentleman
Just
that
trying to
owns it,
figure if we're talking about the same building.
but the gentleman that owns it is still plowing it and things like
Plowing the
that.
driveway.
And I've been keeping the entrance plowed off so that when the town turns around there, they don't pack the snow down in the driveway, because that was an issue a few years ago. So that wouldn't be an issue for the guys. So I've been keeping that entrance to his driveway plowed so it didn't get packed down.
Well, we are going to plow it, and we are going to sand it, and we're also going to look into getting an easement to have a turnaround there. And from what I'm understanding from looking into this, we do have several roads in town where we don't have easements to turn around, and that's something we need to look into also, because, you know, driving a big truck down there with a wing and then not being able to turn around because you don't have permission, and then have to back all the way back out again, it doesn't make sense. So that was just something that was brought to our attention, so we're gonna look into trying to do that hopefully before next winter. You just get a permission from somebody to turn around their driveway if that's all it takes, but we are gonna look into that.
Right. I mean, but how about making sure that it's taken care of rest of this winter, though?
Buzzell Road will be, yep, it'll be plowed and sanded.
Okay, because it wasn't sanded this time.
Okay, I will check onto that.
The other thing that Bill and I had talked
Buzzell Road
about,
wasn't sanded at all, or just the 300-foot section?
that from the fort to the where the town says they own.
Okay,
No, the rest of it's bare,
okay.
but that wasn't touched.
I'm not sure, though, if you can take a sanding truck down there. I think it was plowed with a three-quarter ton.
3/4 ton?
No, they did it this time, Bill, with a big truck with a wing.
They did?
But they also have a sander on their 1-ton, so they could do it with a 1-ton, I mean, because they sand the intersections in this place and different with their 1-ton.
I didn't realize
So they don't have to take a big truck down there anyway, if they don't want to, you know? I mean, I plow the rest of the road with my pickup, and the rest of the road's surely a lot worse than what the beginning of the road is, so, you know, it's workable.
So you plow all the way through to the other side?
I plowed down as far as Joe's Road.
Joe Rimmel?
No, there's a.
Just called Joe's Road.
That's the name
Oh,
of the road.
Joe's Road.
Joe's Road, sorry. Which is just a little bit before Crawford's Pit.
Oh,
also,
yeah,
and that's
okay.
before that. The other thing that we had talked about was private people like myself doing anything on town ways. And in the roads manual, the town's roads manual, it's very clear that that's illegal, that you have to be an employee or contracted by the town.
I talked to the DOT, or actually back and forth by email, and it is not illegal. However, it is not encouraged, is the way they put it.
Well, in the road maintenance manual that you guys have in your office, in Chapter 5, very clearly says there can be no private maintenance on town ways. It's illegal.
Does it cite statute?
Yep. It's in Chapter 5 in your roads manual book.
What is the
No,
statute that it
there's a
cites?
state law.
See Lamb versus Euclid Amber Associates, Hunt versus Rich, Harris versus Larrabee.
So it's based on,
Court decision.
Court
court
decisions.
decisions, there is
So
no
that's
state
a-
law, and that's what he told us, there is no state law. So somebody decided to use some court cases and say, we shouldn't do that, and we're not going to, after we found out, we're not going to, that's why.
Well, it says
that's why
here,
was
the
plowed.
case law is very clear that no private individuals have no right to be doing that. So, that's just
But
something
case law
that,
doesn't make it a statute, is what we're saying. We call DOT, and there is no statute, but because it is in the road manual, and because there is case law that tells you not to do it, we're not gonna do it. So that's why we did plow this time, 'cause once we got the information, that's why we did plow when we're gonna sand, so you don't have to worry about plowing that anymore. Okay?
and there's two more things. One is your town report. There's a vendor in here, which I don't really understand. Eastern Materials was paid $5,600, and it had to have been right at the very end of the fiscal year for this gravel, because that's what he sells is gravel. And I don't understand, or I don't know, I haven't seen, because there was no projects or anything, where this gravel was put out.
Did David purchase that gravel by any chance in fiscal year, did he,
No, it wasn't by David.
it wasn't, did you check with Michelle to see where it was purchased from? And for what
It was
purpose?
From the Northern District.
And did you check with Michelle about the records that she has on that?
Why he bought it, you mean?
Michelle would have a purchase order.
Oh, I appreciate that the number. I'm not saying it wasn't bought. What I'm saying is the material wasn't used.
Did you speak to the road commissioner about it?
No.
I think that the first thing I would encourage you as a citizen to do is to ask Michelle to see, I understand that you understand it was purchased, but the purchase order would list for what purpose it was purchased. So Michelle should have a record of that in her office. And then if that is still not satisfactory, then I would speak to the person who did the purchasing.
Well, I'm not gonna speak to the road commissioner, I'm speaking to you guys.
Well, you would have been the one that
because-
signed off on it because
No,
it was
you-
last year.
If it was a bill there, I can guarantee you that my signature's not on it.
So you're saying it wasn't paid in last year's fiscal?
If it was, it's something I never saw. And I do know that there was not $5,600 worth of material put out on the northern end of town. It didn't happen. It did not happen. And I would just like to know, I've heard all different kinds of stories and rumors that it was bought because there was money there to be used for future projects, so they'd have the gravel to use, which, if that is the case, then where's the gravel? It should be on town property. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be still sitting up in Downey Shay's pit, or it shouldn't be sitting in my yard or anybody else's yard. It ought to be sitting on town property to be used. Just like when David bought material to do that project he did this year, he had it all delivered and stored down there at the tractor shed. So that-
We'll
so
look
there's- so
into it,
there's
because,
accounting of it.
again, this is last year's money, so it was before my time, but we'll look into it and find out.
And the only other thing I have is an observation on the report. One of the reports isn't accurate. It says in here, the road commissioner did all the inventory on all the culverts and things like that on the northern end of town, and reported all this information to the road committee, and that is absolutely not true. The road committee did all that work. The only thing the road commissioner did was mark where the culverts were, and it's just misleading on what happened, that's all.
Actually, Mr. Long, I was with the road committee the day that Mr. Mooney met us on the side of H Road and passed us a list of where all of the culverts were, the
Right.
make, material that they were made from, and the width of the culvert. So he did inventory his culverts, as he said he did, and he gave us a handwritten list that we then continued on and verified with our own measurements and time.
Well, you was with him one day.
Thank you, Dennis.
Any other current business?
On the cartographics contract.
Yeah.
What was the dollar value on that?
There are two separate
Yeah.
dollar values.
The cost of.
$22,650 for updating of services.
Right, and the data collection, the GPS data collection is $495.
Okay, so on the two of them together.
Plus $12.25 per building captured.
Okay. And did this go out to bid?
It was not over $4,000, and no, it did not.
$22,000? Is-
$2,650.
Okay, okay.
We did have another company, though, offer us a bid. It was not to our code enforcement officers. He thought that the bid that was offered to us by Cartographics was a better value, and we took his advice on that, as he is the one that most often is involved with our maps.
Okay. That takes care of that. I would like to speak to that article in the town report. If in fact there was a list of roads and culverts with the materials they were made of, the sizes, and the condition handed to the road committee, as chairman of that road committee, I'd like to know why I never saw it.
My remembrance of that day, it was fall of last year, is that you and Pam McAlinden, Cindy Hart, and myself, and it was when Cindy Hart was still chair of that committee, went in your vehicle down H Road and were measuring culverts. And during our ride, we phoned Mr. Mooney on his cell phone and told him what we were doing, and he said, I have the culvert inventory written up for you. And we met him at the entrance to the transfer station. It was closed that day. We met him at the entrance. He gave us the list. He also talked to us about the Maine DOT handbook, I believe, and sign requirements. And we then took his list and we went forward with it using the GPS and making GPS measurements where he said the culverts would be, and proceeded from there.
We did that all over town.
Yes, we did, but my statement was that Mr. Mooney did meet us with a list of the culverts, as he was requested to do.
Well, Cindy was the chairman at the time, so if I were to assume that Cindy had that list, I have all of Cindy's records, and I've never seen that.
Well, you were in the car when she was given it, though, right? Do you remember that?
I do not remember that. And the reason I'm concerned about that is that this road committee did one heck of a lot of work.
Yes, it did. That is not
A
a,
lot of hours. And I think it's a kick in the pants to the people on that road committee that put in the hours they put in, not to have received credit for it in that town report, but rather blown off.
I believe that in the town report, the letter from the road committee that you yourself wrote gave credit to the road committee for that project. And
Okay.
that this board has repeatedly, both last year and this year, commended the road committee for the amount of work that they did in fact spend on inventorying the town roads. I don't think it is in any question that the members of the road committee put in hundreds of hours of their own personal time, unpaid, to serve the town by doing a complete recording of our town ways, but they were assisted by both road commissioners.
Then if in fact the Board of Selectmen reviewed all of the reports as they said they were going to prior to going into the town report, why in the world would you allow two reports to go in that basically contradicting what the others say?
I don't think that they are a contradiction, Mr. Hodgson. I think that they are a good example of collaboration in our town. The road committee report stated the efforts and time that the road committee spent, and the road commissioner report mentioned the time and effort that the road commissioner spent. And I think that those are both true statements.
Then my question is, why would we have spent the hours that we spent measuring all these culverts, assessing their condition, recording the materials that they were manufactured from, and so forth, if it was already done? That don't make sense.
Thank you, Nancy. Yes. One of the purposes was to mark with GPS coordinates where each of those culverts were.
We could
for-
have done that without getting out of the car.
I spent quite a bit of time on my belly that day with a tape measure, Mr. Hodgson. I remember us doing so. The road committee, I don't think anyone is in doubt about the time and effort they put in, but the road commissioners were helpful and an important part of that process. And I do not think that there has been any wrongdoing in making mention of it.
No, as far as I know, the only thing that the road commissioner did was what we had asked that he did, go out and he marked it with a fluorescent paint on the very edge of the tar where those culverts were up and down the road. And to my knowledge, that's all that happened.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
How did I become a vendor of the town?
Did you submit a bill for something, Mr. Hodgson?
I submitted a bill for reimbursement.
I believe that the word vendor simply means that a check was cut to you. So if you submit something for reimbursement, the town must record who has received all of the checks they have cut. It does not mean that you made money off of the deal. It simply means that a check was made out to you.
Why isn't it called a reimbursement?
Because we list all of the people who receive checks as vendors.
Why is it not?
Any other business?
Just sort of in light of the work that the road committee did, and it was many hours, I'm aware of that. I wondered if any of that information has come back to the town hall in a form that we can move on with this project.
It has not as of yet. Is there any other business? Okay.
I make a motion, we
Oh,
adjourn.
oh, we
Whoop,
have
no,
announcements.
didn't
Hold
have
on,
those.
please. With the first announcement is that due to Mrs. Ricks's resignation, we will be accepting letters of interest for anyone who is interested in being on the Warrant and Finance Committee. Those letters of interest should be submitted to our Secretary Lorraine by next Thursday. The chair has requested that we look towards appointing someone fairly quickly so that their board can do their job. They are down a member, and to have quorum, they need to have as many possible members as they can. So,
Two now.
yeah, well, effectively two, yes.
Yeah.
So anyone who is interested in being on the Warrant and Finance Committee, it would only be until this coming town meeting in June. And, you know, might as well take a chance to plug town meeting. It will be, I believe, the second Saturday of the month of June at the school, so, you know, mark your calendars now. Please submit your letters of interest to Lorraine, and we will go from there. Any other announcements?
Yeah, next week, this room will be closed for the whole week. They're redoing the floors, so we'll be moving everything out, and nobody can come in for the full week. So any meetings that are normally scheduled for up here will be downstairs. And please don't come in here. And they're going to put in 4 coats on next week, and then in 6 months, come back and do 2 more coats.
Any other announcements? Any other?
You guys indicated a while back that you were going to put on the next town meeting, be it special town meeting or whatever, the section of Buzzell Road down to Foley Way to be accepted by the town. And if, in fact, you are still going to do that, we have to hold a public hearing. So, my question is, what is your pleasure?
Board?
I guess I don't understand what you're talking about.
The road committee put forward information that we gathered from the state and from the county.
Correct? And it was voted down at town meeting.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And we asked that that be put back on the next warrant for town meeting, and we would
Who's
hold
we?
the
Who's
public
we?
hearings at
Who's we? Who's
at
we?
your suggestion.
I said that they could bring it back again. I didn't say that
You
we were
said,
going to do that.
you said you would bring it back again if in fact we held a public hearing on it. And we are prepared to hold a public meeting, but we've got to
Who's
do it.
we?
The road committee.
Okay.
Prior to,
All right. The road committee has decided that they want to have a public hearing.
we've wanted to have a public hearing for the last.
road committee has voted
ever
and asked,
since-
if
ever
the road
since-
committee has a meeting and votes to ask us to have a public hearing, we'd be more than happy to do it.
You've already told us that you would do that.
I haven't met with the road committee.
No, you didn't meet
So
with
if
the
the
road
road committee
committee.
meets now and comes to us and says we would like to have a public hearing on that, then we would be glad to do that. But have you had that meeting since
The
the,
road committee is in agreement that we would have, yes,
that's only,
absolutely.
is it in your minutes?
We're not required to keep minutes.
I just want to correct you on something.
Okay.
It was suggested by the Board of Selectmen that we separate Buzzell Road out from the rest of the roads. The reason it was voted down, it was a group of roads all meshed together. These are roads that we found, we couldn't find any evidence that they were ever accepted as townways, okay? The suggestion of the Board of Selectmen was to separate Buzzell Road out from the rest of those, have a public hearing, and then have either a special town meeting or as an article at the next June town meeting, and have the townspeople vote on it separately from, in other words, each of the roads on their merits. That's the way it was suggested. I think if you go back through your minutes.
And back,
This was suggested at a selectmen's meeting, you're saying, or at the town meeting? Are you talking about what I said at the town meeting?
It was at a selectmen's meeting.
Oh, shucks, I lost what I was gonna say. It was suggested that that could be done at the next special town meeting, so that if in fact it didn't go through, that the people that live on that road would be able to apply for grant money to do things in a different way.
Well, the people of the private roads can apply for grant money now if they form a road association. That's what we keep trying to tell you. That's what the state is
There's no
saying.
reason, Ted, for these people to form a road association. We can prove it's a town road. We've already done that.
All right.
And there's a bunch of people.
I'll look into it, and when's the road committee meeting again?
There was a bunch of people that spoke on it at town meeting that quite obviously didn't know what they were talking about.
Okay, so when's the next road committee meeting?
I can have a road committee meeting anytime.
We have
But
asked the
just-
road
we
committee
just
to not
wanna
meet
know
outside of the request of the road
When we have
commissioners.
to have this public hearing in order to get in on this next warrant for town meeting. We want to know.
All right. Let me look into it, and I will have an answer for you at the next selectmen's meeting.
Will that give us time enough to hold a town, public hearing prior to you guys writing the warrant for this upcoming special town meeting
What special town meeting?
in March?
You're talking about the school board's meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's plenty of time.
Okay.
It's only January. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys only hold meetings once a month or whatever, or it's hard to keep track.
Any other announcements? Board, any other announcements?
Nope.
Nope.
Any announcements? Okay, I would love to entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Meeting adjourned.